It's 1941. The skies over Europe are a death trap. Allied bombers, lumbering giants, packed with explosives, are flying deep into enemy territory. Their mission crippled the Third Reich's war machine. But there's a massive problem. They are getting slaughtered. German fighters, swift and deadly Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs, are tearing them apart. The bombers have machine guns, sure, but they're slow and vulnerable. They desperately need fighter escorts, friendly planes to protect them all the way to the target and back. The British have the Spitfire, a legendary dogfighter. The Americans have the P-47 Thunderbolt, a tough, rugged beast, but neither has the legs. They can only go so far before their fuel tanks run dry, forcing them to turn back, leaving the bombers all alone in a sky full of wolves. The losses are staggering. On some missions, the chances of a bomber crew returning are less than 50. The air war over Europe is on the brink of failure. The entire strategic bombing campaign, a cornerstone of the Allied strategy, is in jeopardy. They need a miracle. They need a long-range fighter that can not only fly for hours, but also outfight the very best the enemy has. The problem is, a plane like that doesn't exist, or does it? Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, an American company called North American Aviation is building a new fighter. It wasn't even for the Americans originally. It was for the British. They needed planes, and they needed them fast. North American promised they could design and build a brand new fighter in just 120 days. An insane timeline, but they pulled it off. The result was the P-51 Mustang. At first, nobody paid it much attention. It was a decent plane, but it had a critical flaw. Its Allison engine was asthmatic at high altitudes, right where the bombers were flying. It was a good low-level fighter, but for escorting high-flying bombers, it was useless. The U.S. Army Air Forces weren't interested. The plane was sidelined, used for reconnaissance and ground attack missions. It seemed the Mustang was destined to be a footnote in aviation history. But then, a brilliant idea sparked a revolution. A British test pilot, looking at the Mustang's sleek, advanced airframe, had a thought. What if they took out that underpowered Allison engine and replaced it with something better? Something with real power, designed for high-altitude performance. What if they gave the Mustang the heart of a champion? The engine they had in mind was the legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin, the same powerhouse that drove the Spitfire. It was a long shot. Mating a British engine with an American airframe was a complex engineering challenge, but the stakes were too high not to try. Engineers on both sides of the Atlantic worked feverishly. They modified the airframe, redesigned the cooling system, and shoehorned the mighty Merlin engine into the Mustang's nose. The result was breathtaking. It was like putting a Formula One engine into a sports car. The new Merlin-powered Mustang, designated the P-51B, was a completely different animal. It was fast, incredibly fast, over 440 miles per hour. It could climb like a rocket, and most importantly, with extra fuel tanks, it could fly. It could fly all the way to Berlin and back. The problem of the long-range escort fighter was solved. The little friend, as the bomber crews would come to call it, had arrived. When the P-51s first appeared over Germany in late 1943, the German pilots were in for a nasty shock. They were used to the American fighters turning back, leaving the bombers defenseless. Suddenly, these new, incredibly agile fighters were sticking with the bombers all the way. They could outturn, outclimb, and outrun anything the Luftwaffe threw at them. For the German pilots, it was a disaster. Their hunting ground had been invaded by a predator, far deadlier than they were. Hermann Guy, ring the head of the Luftwaffe, famously said, "When I saw Mustangs over Berlin, I knew the jig was up." He was right. The P-51 changed everything. The arrival of the Mustang turned the tide of the air war. Bomber losses plummeted. Allied air superiority was no longer a dream. It was a brutal reality for the Third Reich. The P-51s didn't just escort bombers. They went on the offensive. Flown by legendary pilots like Chuck Yeager and Don Blakesley, they swept the skies clear of enemy aircraft. They strafed airfields, trains, and troop columns, wreaking havoc on the German war effort from the air. The Mustang pilots, many of them young men in their early 20s, become a hero. They were the knights of the modern age, jousting in the clouds at over 400 miles per hour. Their skill and bravery, combined with the incredible machine they flew, broke the back of the Luftwaffe. The P-51 wasn't just a collection of metal, wires, and an engine. It was a symbol of hope. 2. The bomber crews. The sight of a Mustang's silver wings pulling up alongside them meant they had a fighting chance to get home. It was the perfect combination of an advanced American airframe and a powerful British engine, a testament to Allied cooperation. From being an ignored, underpowered aircraft, the Mustang transformed into arguably the greatest fighter of World War II. It didn't just change the air war. It ensured the success of the entire strategic bombing campaign, paving the way for the D-Day invasion and the ultimate victory in Europe. The story of the P-51 Mustang is a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest solutions come from unexpected places, and a single innovation can change the course of history. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this piece of aviation history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the incredible machines and people that shaped our world. See you in the next one.